Hello YouTube, welcome to my fish room tour. This is my basement and we're going to start with my show tank. This is the 240 gallon Discus tank. As you may have seen in a previous video, I built this tank myself. It is 8 feet long, 2 feet tall, and 2 feet wide, and it holds 240 gallons. I have several videos on this tank. Please check them out. So now we'll take you to the rest of the fish room. So this is my utility room that I've converted into a fish room. So I have 3 racks, essentially left, right, and back. But first, let's start off. Center is the furnace. There's a water heater here, a water softener down there, some electrical panels, all the plumbing, the ventilation, all starts from this room. So on the left side is a rack with a 75 gallon tank right in the middle. It's a work in progress. We're going to do a planted aquascape here soon. So up here is the freshwater storage bin. It's a 50 gallon tote. On the right wall is another rack. It's got 8 20 gallon tanks. 6 of these tanks share a common filter. It's on the bottom left. That is a sump with K1 in it. And so again, 6 of the tanks on the left share the same sump. But this first tank on the right is my quarantine tank, and it has its own filter with K1. These are the juveniles from aquabid.com. They're doing well, they're growing. They've grown about 1.5 inches since the video I took about 1.5 months ago. I did lose 2 of them, some kind of disease. Anyway, up here is a sick tank. So there's juveniles in here as well, and they're slowly recovering, so I think they'll be okay. This tank over here has a breeding pair. It's got a red pigeon female on the left and a male blue Turk on the right, and he's eating on a worm. So they are novice parents. They've spawned a few times with different successes, but they're learning. So down here is a Pleco. He's about 6 to 8 inches long, and he's kind of by himself here because he likes to dig. And if I put him in a big tank, he's just going to make a mess. So he's out there by himself. He's eating on a algae wafer. And this tank has Panda Cory's down at the bottom left. I got these from a local fish show, the Big Fish Deal in Gaithersburg, Maryland. This was a couple weeks ago. And so they're just in here growing and acclimating. And eventually I'd like to breed them. Up here is a Bristlenose Pleco tank. There's a community of about, I think, 8 in here. We have albino bristlenose as well as brown bristlenose Plecos. And similarly, I'm trying to grow them out. They'll become adults in a few months, and hopefully I can breed them and have them multiply, and we'll put some in the big tank, maybe some in the 75 gallon. These guys clean the algae very well, and hopefully they clean algae in the big tank and maybe on the 75 gallon tank. So moving on. So this is just another tank with a Pleco right in the middle. He's a common Pleco. He's about 4 inches big. Up here is a hang-on back filter that I'm trying to seed. That'll go into the 75 gallon soon. This is a driftwood with some Anubias tied on the top. I'm trying to grow those immersed. Just a little project that I kind of just ignore and let happen. Down here is a soul Discus, Marlboro Red. I'm going to try to find him a mate soon. He's got a Pleco that lives with him, another common Pleco, about 4 inches big, keeps the tank clean. And so that is the 8 tanks that we went through. And down there is a sump that, again, 6 of the tanks share for the K1 media. Alright, so moving on to the last rack. And I'm going to zoom out, step back a little bit. So this is a rack designed for, essentially, I can put 6 29-gallon tanks on this. But right now it's got one 29-gallon at the bottom with a Discus pair. And there's a 40 long breeder up top with emersed Anubias. So this is my blue turquoise pair. I've had them for a couple years. They started off as juveniles, and now they're both adults. And they're trained to eat from my hands, so I can pet them. Just because I've had them so long, they're used to me. They eat off my hands, and I can pet them if I wanted. But this pair is learning. They're learning to become good parents. So this is a drip system. That way I don't have to do water changes. I do vacuum the poo every now and then, but I don't have to do water changes. It's automatic with a drip system here. So up here is the 40 breeder. This is a immersed project. There's Anubias in there, different species of Anubias. There's also Amazon swords in there. I think there's a Java fern somewhere in the back. I wrapped it in plastic to keep the humidity high, and I also have a drip system to simulate rain. Also keeps the humidity high. Alright, so moving on. Well, let's talk about the plumbing system with this rack. So again, down here on the bottom is a common sump filter for 6 of the tanks. Got K1 pump on the left. It's 1,000 gallons per hour, and you can see the water coming back, flowing back into the sump, and that comes from the 6 tanks. So let's see, mechanical filter on the left pumps up to the tube, and here's the first T, and it goes into the first tank. And there's a valve over here on the left to control the flow of water, and to the top right is the overflow into a 1-inch bulkhead, and it tees into the main return line. That's an 1.5 inch pipe. So if we follow the tubes, we go to the second T, and that goes to the second tank. Similarly, there's a bulkhead on the right. It's an overflow, and it comes back down and tees off again into the main pipe. Here's a thermostat, controls my heaters. I set it between 84 and 86 degrees so that all of the tanks in this rack are the same temperature. So if we keep tracing the plumbing, this is 3/4 tubing, and here's another T. Water comes down to tank number 3, and again it'll repeat. There's the overflow into a 1-inch bulkhead and down to the main. So this repeats for, used to be all 8 tanks, but again I'm doing it just a 6 for now. So let's fast forward through the rest of the tanks and their plumbing. This is tank number 5. Same thing. Onto tank number 6. This is my flake food of choice, Ocean Nutrition Primary Flakes. It's got 55% protein, and the Discus love it. So I mix in some live foods. You saw the worms that they were eating earlier. I also have freeze-dried beef heart. So on to tank number 7. So this tank is isolated from the rest of the rack. It's got a sponge filter and a heater. But I have a drip system in here to keep the water change automatic. And so it does have an overflow on the right. Again, it's a drilled tank, 1-inch bulkhead. But the drain goes directly to the drain tub down here, and you've seen this before in my other video. So it goes straight there, and the water doesn't mix. This drain tub is isolated. Water can't flow backwards from the drain tub. So this is tank number 8. You see the juvenile Discus from aquabid.com. So this has its own sump pump with a pump on the left. So it pumps water up to this green hose, up and over, and it overflows on the right. And I rig this to come right back down to sump, and that's the mechanical filter. And that's it for my fish room tour. Let me know if you have any questions. Leave a comment below, and thanks for tuning in.